Welcome back to Now Go See It. I'm Tony. Today we're in Porto, Portugal, exploring everything there is to see and do on your own from the cruise port. Join us. Today we're off the ship in Portugal, specifically Porto, by way of Leixões Cruise Port. In this video, we'll walk you through everything you need to know to pull off a full day with all the top sights in one of Europe's most interesting river cities. This is a hit-the-ground walking, architectural overload, pastry in each hand kind of day. You're getting UNESCO sites, hill climbs, double-decker bridges, and more tiled walls than you ever thought you needed. First, let's talk cruise port. Leixões is where most ships dock for access to Porto. You're not in Porto yet, you're still about 5 miles away, but the port is built to handle big ships and big crowds. And when you step off the gangway, you're greeted by one of the most interesting port buildings we've ever seen. It looks like a twisted, tile-covered concrete tube. In addition to port access, it's also a marine and environmental research center. It seemed pretty uninhabited as we passed through, but the building is a stunner. Now, getting into Porto. If your cruise line is offering a shuttle, take it. Ours, Virgin Voyages, had a complimentary shuttle that picked up right at the port gate. Super easy. The ride into the city took about 40 minutes in the morning and much longer in the afternoon, but more on that later. Along the way, you're cutting through the outer suburbs, local neighborhoods, and traffic circles, eventually dropping into the Douro River Valley that defines the look and layout of the whole city of Porto. As you ride, let's get you caught up on Porto. It's Portugal's second largest city after Lisbon. Porto is built on cliffs that rise sharply from the riverbanks, perfect for those ridiculously beautiful city views. The historic city center is a maze of narrow streets, churches that look too detailed to be real, tile-covered buildings, and the occasional sudden staircase that appears mid-sidewalk. It's compact, layered, and filled with moments where you'll stop just to look at a wall because the wall is covered in hand-painted ceramic tiles from the 1700s. Porto has character. The shuttle dropped us off across the river. This isn't actually Porto, it's Vila Nova de Gaia, which sits directly across the river. You'll know you're in Gaia when the bus empties into a parking area right near the Douro riverfront, lined with wine lodges and souvenir stalls. This side of the river is more relaxed, less crowded, and full of spots to grab a drink or snack while you figure out your next move. But don't get too comfy. Our destination is across the river. Between you and the city center stands the Dom Luís Primeiro Bridge, possibly the most recognizable structure in northern Portugal. It's a 2-level iron bridge from the 1880s that looks suspiciously like the Eiffel Tower laid horizontally. And that's not a coincidence. It was designed by a student of Eiffel and has the same steel lattice DNA. The top level carries the metro and pedestrians, the bottom level carries cars and more pedestrians who didn't want to climb to the top. You're going to want to cross on the top level for one reason: the view. But first, you've got to get up there. Enter the Gaia cable car. This is a piece of urban transportation and your best friend if you want to get to the upper deck of the bridge without a sweaty staircase climb. The cable car takes about 5 minutes and covers a stretch from the lower wine cellar district of Gaia to the upper lookout point. Opened in 2011, it was built to connect tourists and locals with the upper tram line, but most people are here for the view, and it delivers. When you step out of the cable car, you're directly next to one of the most iconic views in the country. The Douro River winds through the valley below, packed with traditional Habelo boats. Porto's hillside rises opposite you, stacked with tile-roof buildings in warm tones, many crammed together at odd angles as if they're all trying to get the best view too. Behind you, perched dramatically on a bluff, is the church of the monastery of Serra do Pilar, a former monastery with a circular cloister and an optional climb for even higher views. We skipped it, but it's an option if you've got the energy. We headed straight across the bridge, top deck, pedestrian lane. Nothing between us and the edge but a thin railing. The light rail glides past every few minutes, but otherwise it's open to foot traffic. You'll want to stop for photos. At the other side, you land at the start of the historic city. Our first stop was the new Time Out Market Porto. It just opened, and if you've been to the ones in Lisbon or New York, you know the drill. Food vendors in a slick modern hall, perfect for snacking or hiding from unexpected rain. We walked through, mentally noted what we'd eat later, and moved on. We had ground to cover. From here, we walked into the heart of the old city. This is where Porto starts to feel overwhelming in a good way. Every corner is another church, every building is a different kind of tile, and the sidewalks are all tiny mosaic stones. Our first stop was the Fonte dos Liros, a cast iron fountain with 4 lions spitting water from their mouths like disgruntled gargoyles. It's a solid Photoshop and conveniently placed next to the Igreja do Carmo. This church is technically 2 churches, the Igreja do Carmo and the Igreja dos Carmelitas, with a tiny house between them built to keep monks and nuns from fraternizing. The side of the church is completely covered in blue and white azulejo's, traditional Portuguese tiles that show scenes from religious history. It's one of those buildings that forces everyone to slow down and take a look. Next, we tried to visit Livrario Yellow. This bookstore is often ranked as one of the most beautiful in the world, with stained glass skylights and a famous red staircase. But, and this is important, entrance is timed, ticketed, and popular. We didn't book a time ticket ahead, which meant we didn't get in. If it's on your list, get those tickets online in advance. Visit our website, nowgoseeit.com, for details. We pivoted to Torre dos Clarios, which was nearby and required no ticket. This Baroque bell tower rises nearly 250 feet, and yes, you can climb it. The stairs are narrow, stone, and spiral, but once you reach the top, the 360-degree view of Porto is excellent. Inside the connected church is a golden altar and a small museum. Next, food. Mercado de Berlo is the city's historic market. First opened in 1839 and reopened in 2022 after years of renovations. It's now clean, polished, and somehow still feels local. The vendors here range from produce and flowers to fishmongers and bakeries. There's a famous flower stand that's been in the same family for generations, dating back more than 130 years. I grabbed a pastel de nata, a custard tart that's crispy, creamy, and caramelized all at once, and a folded pastry filled with egg custard. You're not leaving this market hungry. Just a short walk away is the Chapel of Souls. You don't go here for mass, you go here to stare at the exterior, which is covered in over 15,000 tiles depicting the lives of saints. The blue and white azuleos wrap around the building in murals so detailed they feel like comic book panels. The interior is small and nice, but it's the outside that gets all the attention. That chapel marks one end of Rua de Santa Catarina, Porto's busiest shopping street. It's pedestrian only, lined with everything from global fashion brands to souvenir shops to bakeries and street vendors. Majestic Cafe is here if you want to sip overpriced espresso under chandeliers and pretend it's the 1920s. But you'll also find casual quick eats, local jewelry shops, and even a small mall. At the opposite end of the street is São Bento train station. If you arrived in Porto by train, this is likely where you stepped off. Inside, don't miss the tile murals. 20,000 hand-painted tiles showing historic battles, royal weddings, and rural scenes in massive scale. It's a working station, so don't linger in front of the doors, but definitely give yourself time to look around. From there, we walk to the Museum of Mercy, a small museum housed in a 16th century building with a blend of religious and social history. It's not essential, but it's a good option if you're nearby and want a quiet, contemplative space. Then we made our way to Miradero da Vitória, one of the city's best and least polished viewpoints. It's just a patch of ground, no railings, no vendors, no maintenance, but the view is epic. Rooftops, bridge, river, Gaia in the background. It's the kind of view that makes you pause, whether you plan to or not. From there, we walk downhill toward the river, passing the monument to Prince Henry the Navigator in front of the Palácio de Bolsa. This 19th century palace is known for its lavish interior, especially the Arab room, which looks like it was airlifted from a Moroccan palace. You can only visit on a guided tour with a time ticket, which we didn't have. If you want to go inside, book ahead. Next door is the Church of St. Francis. Outside, it's dark, gothic, and dramatic. Inside, it's all gold, literally. The interior is filled with gilded wood carvings that cover the columns, the ceiling, the altar, everything. It's excessive in a fascinating way. At the bottom of the hill is the Ribeira waterfront. Cobblestones, colorful buildings, outdoor cafes, and crowds. This is postcard Porto. It's touristy, but for a good reason. We walked along the river and made our way back to the Dom Luís Primeiro Bridge, this time crossing at the bottom level. This is where the cars go and where you'll have the least space to move. The views are still excellent, but it's crowded, noisy, and not somewhere to linger. Keep walking and keep your elbows in. Once across, we were back in Gaia, land of port wine. The city's name Porto literally gave its name to port wine. The cellars here store and age the barrels that come down the Douro River. If you're serious about wine, a full-day shore excursion into the Douro Valley is a top-tier experience. Vineyards, tastings, lunch with a view. But if you're just mildly curious, you can do what I did and sample a glass at Mercado Barreiro. This market is smaller and more casual than Time Out, with a mix of local food stands, wine counters, and indoor seating. It's relaxed and easy to navigate. I got my wine, enjoyed the last few bites of something flaky and sweet, and called it a win before climbing onto the shuttle back to the port. Now, remember that 40-minute shuttle ride from earlier? The way back took nearly 90 minutes. Afternoon traffic was thick, and we were glad we hadn't cut it close. If you're traveling independently by taxi or public transport, build in a huge buffer to avoid missing your ship. So that's our one day in Porto from Leixões Cruise Port. It was packed, layered, and occasionally uphill in both directions. We saw churches, markets, train stations, bridges, bookstores, and a whole lot of tile. If this helped you plan your trip, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out our playlist for more cruise port guides. For more details, including maps, links, and nearby beaches, visit our travel blog at nowgoseeit.com. Now go see Porto, Portugal.